are in the jungle. I'm Matt Edwards. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully everyone's calmed down. We've all settled down a little bit. 1-1 on the year. What are you going to do? We'll get into what these first 2 weeks of the season mean and what they tell us about what's next. And then, of course, a big one this week in that disgusting city of Pittsburgh. We'll get into that around probably, between the 10 and 15-minute mark. Our guest today will join us at that time. Hopefully. I haven't heard back from him yet, but I've got faith in him. So we'll get into the Steelers and whatnot once we get there. But I want to start off with this. The first thing I want to get into is week 1 and week 2. Get used to those type of games, right? If you look at it, a lot of the same things we were saying after the win against Minnesota are the same things we're talking about after the loss in Chicago. It's a lot easier. I think I said last week, it's a lot easier to talk about the problems and talk about what needs fixed when you're coming off a win. Right? Look at these three things. They're things we all said after the win against Minnesota and after the loss against Chicago. We all said, wow, that defense. That defensive line, DJ Reader mauling people. Looking like a throwback to Geno Atkins, making us forget about Geno Atkins quite quickly. We really like the defense. We said that after week 1 and week 2. Second thing, pass protection needs to be better. Right? We know that. We've known that for nearly a decade, it feels like. And Zach Taylor says it's not all on the offensive line, and of course some running backs have missed some blocks. He blamed one on a wide receiver. Whatever, figure it out. The offensive line has got to be better. We said that after week 1. We're saying it after week 2. And we're also saying, holy hell, this team needs Trey Waynes back ASAP. Most of the Bengals' points, I think, on Sunday, Eli Apple once again gives up 7 points by himself. It is what it is, but holy crap, do they need Trey Waynes back. Those three things, those are really the three biggest things we said after both week 1 and week 2. It just feels so much better saying them after a win. Guys, I'm telling you right now, get used to this. It's the way it's going to be all year. The Bengals aren't going to blow out many teams, if any teams, and the Bengals won't be blown out by many teams, if any teams. I think this Sunday in Pittsburgh going to be similar to what we saw in week 1 and week 2. And this Bengals team is going to hover around 500 for most of the season. That assumes they stay healthy. And by the way, shout out to whatever the Bengals have figured out, because finally, we've got through 2 weeks. Xavier Su'a-Filo, he has an injury. That's the only one so far, and it seems like that's maybe a 1 week, 2 weeks tops thing. We'll get into him and the O-line here in a little bit. But get used to this. Get used to these close games. Against Minnesota, the Bengals were up double digits in the fourth quarter. Got a big defensive play. That fumble in overtime, Jermaine Pratt forces that on Dalvin Cook. That wins it. Something similar in Chicago, the Bengals just didn't make the play. They were down double digits in the fourth. This time on the other end of it, come back, a few quick ones. The Logan Wilson pick gets them right there where they can get within a field goal. But the shoestring tackle from Trey Hendrickson doesn't happen. The big play doesn't happen. The Bengals don't win. Very similar games, just different outcomes. It's going to be a wild season. You're going to get your cardio every Sunday from watching the Bengals. You can quit going to the gym. Be done with the gym. The Bengals will give you all you need. Those first 2 games, very similar. And I feel like we're going to see that most of the year. Hopefully we see that most of the year, because that's what we expect, right? I think we all agreed, like if the Bengals get over 500, which you have to be either over or under now that they have 17 games, I think we all agree we would be happy with a 9-8, which is what I picked them to go, a 9-8, 10-7 season. Really 8-9 depending on how it shakes out. Although if they go 8-9, we'll look back at week 2 and say, man, you got to come away with that one. But this is the ride we're in for this year. Unless the offensive line magically gets a lot better and Joe Burrow can stand back there and pick defenses apart, this is the ride we're getting on this year. If you don't like it, hop off now, because we got 15 more games that are going to be a lot like that, a lot like these first 2. And I see too many people pushing that panic button already. I mean, did you forget? I feel like we go through this every September, not just with Bengals fans, but with everyone. Did you forget what the NFL's like? The games are close. That's the way it works. This isn't college. This isn't Alabama taking on Mercer. This is how it works in the NFL. These guys are all the best of the best. And look, the Bengals today, as we sit here on a Tuesday, September 21st, the Bengals today have the same record as the Chiefs, as the Bills, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Seahawks, all those teams, Super Bowl aspirations, except maybe the Steelers. Sure, they have them, but they don't know any better. All of those teams, Chiefs, Bills, Browns, I mean, those are the top three in the AFC, right? They're 1-1, just like the Bengals. Don't hit that panic button yet. There's not going to be any easy wins, really, for anyone. Maybe the Chiefs get some this year. You know, maybe some of those top 5, 6 teams win a few games by 30. Most of the teams, 24 of the 32 NFL teams, not going to get any double-digit wins, or not many, maybe 1 or 2. So get used to this and be happy that, you know, maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe I'm too much of an optimist. But in the past, the Bengals, they pee down their leg, right? They don't come back from that 20-3 and get it within a field goal and get within a tackle by Trey Hendrickson. And again, I'm not blaming him. The defense played excellent, gave up 13 points. The Bengals defense only gives up 13 points. They will be in the playoffs. If the Bengals defense averages 13 points per opponent this season, the Bengals will make the playoffs. So be happy that, you know, this is a competitive team through 2 weeks. You don't expect them to necessarily win the division this year. Compete for it, sure. But there's a lot to like right now. And those first 2 games, very similar, despite different outcomes. Second thing I want to get into, and I mean, we're just going to beat this to death, but you're telling me there's nothing better they can do in pass protection. You're telling me there's no one, and Trey Hopkins played a lot better in week 2 than he did in week 1, and I certainly don't want to replace him. He gets the benefit of the doubt. But those guards, Quentin Spain, okay. Xavier Su'a-Filo, I mean, just, and again, not the worst, but there's not someone better. Throw $10 million, $12 million at Russell Okung. Tell him he's moving to the inside. Find the best blocking back in football. Just have him ready to pass protect at all time. Figure something out. There's got to be some sort of scheme. I don't know where it comes from. I'm not an NFL head coach. And apparently the guy you took 46th overall in Jackson Carman is not ready to play in the NFL. But figure something out to protect Joe Burrow. And I saw Dan Orlovsky tweet this morning that the Bengals are just doing the same things and hoping that they work, and they're not. And that's the frustrating part, is we see the same things over and over. And I know it's only week 2, but you go back to last year. I mean, how have they not figured this out yet? Now, obviously, Riley Reiff, big upgrade. But my grandmother would have been a big upgrade over Bobby Hart. Those aren't the problems. Now it's the interior, and it's got to get fixed. And my God, is it disappointing that Jackson Carman, a top 50 draft pick, apparently can't beat out a guy the Bengals signed as a backup to the Cowboys 2 years ago. He was a backup guard in Dallas 2 years ago, and he can't be beat out by the 46th overall pick. Just needs to be better. And I'm not putting all the blame on Xavier. I'm not putting all the blame on really anyone. I mean, it's the scheme in general, right? Something's got to be better there. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. You want to feel stupid about football, by the way, listen to Peyton Manning on Monday nights. You realize you don't know anything. He's speaking a different language. The Bengals have already seen, you know, these are good defensive fronts, by the way. Let's not, to dial it back a little, let's not forget that. The Bears have a good defensive front, a very good one. Minnesota's very solid too. Now, that would be fine if the Bengals weren't playing in the AFC North. But Cleveland and Pittsburgh have 2 of the top 5 defensive fronts in the league. They're not going anywhere. They're still on the schedule a combined 4 times this year. And Baltimore typically figures out a way to make it work as well. So we need to see Joe Burrow get out of Pittsburgh in one piece. And then things calm down, and maybe they can figure it out. Then you've got Jacksonville, Green Bay, Detroit. All 3 defenses there, less than average. Hopefully Frank Pollock, who I was told was a magician in the offseason, hopefully they can figure things out. And don't get me wrong, it's better than it's been. But that doesn't make it good enough. I just think there has to be someone out there who could improve this offensive line. And it's unfortunate it's not the guy you took with a top 50 pick, the 46th overall pick in the draft, when you traded down. And look, whatever, I think that, was it Cam Sample they got out of that? I can't remember. I wasn't against that. But you need to take someone you feel confident can come in there and make something happen on day one. And I don't even know that they trust Jackson Carman all that much more than Deontay Smith at this point. I mean, Deontay Smith played very well in the preseason. Now, of course, he's playing against, not top-string guys, certainly not guys like we'll see in Cleveland and Pittsburgh and like we just saw in Chicago. But you got to figure something out. It's just disappointing. Deontay Smith, the 4th-round pick this year. It's just disappointing. It's a freaking broken record when it comes to this pass protection scheme. They've got to be better. And then finally, let's get into, not finally, I guess, but thirdly, my third big point of the day, it is Steelers week. It feels different, right? There's another positive we can take between week 2 and week 3. I think the Bengals, like I said earlier, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win. And in the preseason, I did not pick them to win. I'm scarred from all the times that I've seen them go to Pittsburgh. But it sure feels like they should be in it in the fourth quarter. And it sure feels like they should be able to beat up Ben Roethlisberger. And a win in Pittsburgh melts away all the sorrow we felt this week after that loss in Chicago. And I don't think it's far-fetched to say the Bengals should compete and have a shot to win this game. Again, maybe it comes down to, do they protect Joe Burrow enough where he doesn't throw back-to-back-to-back interceptions and he has a shot to go out there and win it? Pittsburgh, by the way, only ran for 39 yards last week. How good does that make you feel with the way the Bengals defense has played? No reason not to keep the Steelers in that ballpark. Their offensive line has struggled. A lot of new pieces for them this year. I don't know if they're in a similar boat as the Bengals, but when it comes to the offensive line, but I don't know that they're better. So maybe they are in the same boat. Good analogy by me. This will be another close one. I mean, like I just said, get used to the tight ones. And it's going to be, here's the other thing that I think it's kind of ironic that it comes down to this, but that's the way the NFL is. Zach Taylor's had a lot of fourth quarter leads that they have squandered away. And I think this is going to be another one where it comes down to a handful of plays in the fourth quarter, and they have not been good in those scenarios since Zach Taylor took over. Can you make plays in the fourth quarter to win games? They almost did it on Sunday. They made too many bad ones to overcome, but can they do it this week in Pittsburgh? Because I'm convinced it's going to be close. This isn't going to be, the games of old where you go into the fourth quarter in Pittsburgh and they're just handing the ball off to run out the clock. The Bengals, I'll be shocked if they're not in this game in the fourth quarter. I won't be surprised if they're leading for most of the game. It's going to be a tight one. I think that the Bengals and Steelers are kind of maybe on the same level right now, with the exception that the Steelers as a whole are certainly on the decline, while the Bengals as a whole are on the come-up. So hopefully TJ Watt's out Sunday. We can pray on that one, go to church, maybe a couple times this week. He's dealing with that groin injury. It looks like he's kind of 50-50 right now, but you have to guess he will play. But look, no matter whether or not he plays, Steelers still have an excellent defensive line. Cam Hayward, just an all-world tackle. Melvin Ingram, or tackle. He lines up everywhere on the defensive line. Melvin Ingram there. I saw another guy, Alex Highsmith there, who's played really well the first 2 games of the year. It's going to be a big issue this week. Once again, the Bengals' worst unit, their offensive line, has to go up against the Steelers' best unit, their defensive line. So they better be figuring something out right now to protect Joe Burrow and hold the Steelers, hold them all game if you have to. Do whatever you have to. I'm good with that. I'd rather see them get called for a 10-yard holding penalty, 6 or 7 times than let Joe Burrow take 6 or 7 hits. Be sneaky out there, guys. Do not let Joe Burrow get touched by those psychos in Pittsburgh. That's going to be the matchup. Unfortunately, it's not one that favors the Bengals, but on the other side, it's kind of the same thing, right? Bengals defensive line should, tear those guys on the Steelers offensive line up and force Big Ben to sit back there and throw it a bunch, and he's not looked great throwing the ball so far. He has admitted as much. So that's what it'll come down to Sunday. Really 2 really good defensive lines, which that's nice to hear about the Bengals. They really have it clicking right now. And I've got faith. I've got faith in the defense. I'll tell you this. If the Bengals score, what's the number? I'm going to say if the Bengals score 24 points, they will win this game. I think that if they score 24 points on Sunday, I don't know what the Steelers will do, but if the Bengals score 24 or more, the Bengals will win the game in Pittsburgh on Sunday. I feel confident about that. And if any Steelers spit on the Bengals, we're coming to your stupid city with all your ugly yellow bridges. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but it won't be nice. We will spit back. Okay, if this is the end of the episode, that means my good friend Ray Zawodni did not get back to me. If we start rolling right now, that means he did. As promised, Ray Zawodni now joining us here in the jungle. Raymond, you're now a member of the 3-Time Club. 3 people have been on this show 3 times. You're one of them. How's it feel?
Oh, it feels great. We've done it. I thought this was my 2nd time.
Pretty sure this is your 3rd.
Oh, wow. Well, then
if it is only your 2nd, then I take that nice thing I just said back.
Well, I'll have to comb through the archives. But this is the first time I've been on the now Jungle, formerly known as
the Good Old Football Podcast.
The GOFP.
GOFP, baby. Ray, of course, you've heard him on here before, but he's a comedian and he's very funny. And he just got back from Pittsburgh where he was opening for Kevin Hart. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here. You told me you watched the Steelers on Sunday. I'm getting mixed signals. Do they suck? Do they not suck? What's the deal?
I mean, you and the rest of the football watching world. I mean, we beat one of the odds-on AFC favorites week 1 pretty convincingly, and then the Raiders came out and smacked us around. I mean, they outplayed us the entire game, but I think there's one constant in both of the games. It's that the defense is really good and the offense is really unimpressive.
I noticed when you were talking there, you said we and us. What position are you now?
I used to play fullback for the Steelers for a couple of years on my Madden team.
And then Dan Kreider knocked you off the depth chart?
You know what? I got to say, I hate when I say we and us, I hate when people try to make fun of me like, oh, you're a loser, we and us. You don't play for the team. I mean, I've been rooting for them for 32 years. It's we, it's us. I'm mad when they lose. I'm happy when they win. I'm taking it.
No, you're allowed to. I just like busting your chops a little bit there.
But yeah, it's super lame.
You know what? I don't get as mad about it. I don't get mad about it. Like when I was younger, and especially when I first started working in journalism, I really hated it because I was just young and thought I was cool. And now I'm old and know I'm a loser, so I don't care as much. I don't like it when I hear someone saying we in the good sense, and then when they're not talking, when they're talking negatively, it's they. And I've heard people do that, and that drives me up a wall. That is a loser mentality.
It's such a selfish mentality too.
Yeah,
That's like a quarterback. That's like a quarterback doing that too. You know, when they win, it's all on his back, and then when they lose, he's like, "That line better get it together, man."
I didn't watch it. Apparently, Big Ben did. Do you know about this? He's already calling out his offensive coordinator. I didn't see. I just saw a tweet that said I saw a few.
I didn't hear that. The news that I heard today is that he got a hurt titty. Yes,
I think medically that's exactly the phrase they use when they put it out through the public relations department.
You got a strained boobie.
Yes, that's the medical term. It's a pectoral injury, as they say.
I'm sorry. I wasn't in sports journalism, man.
Yes, you were.
No, just regular journalism, but I wasn't very successful.
Regular journalism. But yeah, Big Ben apparently injured. Dude, between that offensive line and the way he looked last year, and he had the injury the year before last, do you think he's going to play all 17 games, or is it going to be? Well, first start with that. Do you think he's going to make it through the season? Again, I should have prepared more. I have not watched, but maybe like 15, 20 plays of them this year.
Well, I mean, I've watched every play pretty drunkenly though, so I'm probably in the same boat as you. But if he keeps taking hits like this, absolutely not. Okay. I mean, they'll never pull him if it's not injury related. But if you watch some of the highlights from that Raiders game, I mean, he was getting annihilated. Whoa.
You good?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, not looking good for him so far. Didn't look good toward the end of last season too. And I kind of blamed, because this happened with Peyton Manning a little bit. I think 2015, whenever he retired, it was like he was fine until it got cold out. And I thought that was what happened maybe with Ben last year, because down the stretch. And then I think after the season was over, he's like, yeah, I was hurt half the season, which he always says stuff like that. That's the thing with him being hurt all of a sudden today. Oh, you suck, and all of a sudden you're hurt. What a shock.
I don't think that. I just think he's always banged up. And I think that's how he hypes himself up, is he's like, I'm all banged up. My knees are hurt. He's like a grizzled detective in a movie. Or that's at least what he wants the perception to be. And then really the media is just kind of like, oh God, he's brittle and old.
Yeah, I mean, because there's no one in those detective movies to be like, hey man, chill out. You suck.
He doesn't suck. He can still. I mean, he's still serviceable. I mean, I don't think he's obviously what he was 5 years ago because I mean he's old. He's an old man. But if we had somewhat of a competent offensive line, I mean, I think we would have won yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. You sound, by the way, like you're trying to convince a car dealership to give you like $1,000 more in your trade in. Like, hey, he's not what he was 5 years ago, but he still gets the job done.
Oh, the Big Ben talks that I've been having internally are embarrassing.
Would you like to say them out loud?
I mean, just like it's like 1 minute I'm like, man, I just want to see him go. You know, like I don't want him to embarrass himself at the end of his career because he's done such great things for the Steelers. And then I'll see him throw like one decent pass in the game, and I'm like, he's back, baby, he's back. That's all he needed was to get roughed up a little bit and get into his zone. And then I hate saying it out loud because I said it on a friend that has a Bills podcast. And so hopefully that's the good luck charm is if I do the person's podcast before we beat the team. But
is that Sean Murphy?
Yeah. So, but I hate saying it again and being this guy because I love the Steelers and Ben. God doesn't got it, man.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Last I saw on the depth chart, Mason Rudolph, is he going to be the backup? Or because I believe in Dwayne Haskins still. Maybe it's the Scarlet and Gray Homer in me.
Or wait, are you being serious about Dwayne Haskins? Because
yeah, people don't realize in Washington he was not that bad. Now, of course, I don't want to see him go in there, and he's not going to be Ben. I don't know that he'll ever live up to the first round pick expectations, but he wasn't terrible in Washington on the field. He was a knucklehead off of it. He didn't do. I say knucklehead. He did some goofball things. Can't go to a strip club during a pandemic and then get photographed 3 days before you have to start at quarterback for an NFL team. But he didn't look bad on the field, especially when you consider the talent he had around him.
Well, and he has a little bit of.
We know what Mason Rudolph is, right?
I think we do. I don't know how people are still like there's a very small group in Pittsburgh that are still clamoring for him to get a starting job and to get a shot. And I just don't think he's I don't think he's a very good quarterback. He strikes me as a backup game manager, a guy that we've always had as a backup, like that type, I think Haskins, I mean, he was graded as a first round talent.
15th overall pick.
Killed it at Ohio State.
Broke Drew Brees' touchdown record.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's got the most touchdown passes in a single season in Big Ten history.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, he was a beast. And I can't believe how he didn't. Now, again, NFL is so much about situation. You look at what Mac Jones is doing right now versus what Zach Wilson's doing right now. I think a lot of that has to do with the situation you're put into. And Dwayne Haskins went to probably one of the 5 worst franchises in sports in Washington.
Ooh.
And now he's with one of the top 5 franchises in sports, or top 5 in the NFL, as much as I hate to say that. I mean, the Steelers have, they're always in the mix.
And I think we're going to be in the mix, but I just don't think – I think it's just going to be – it's going to be exactly what these first 2 games were. It's like we're going to have really high highs this year and some pretty low lows just because of the question marks on the offensive line. And Ben, dude, I mean – starts at the top with him, man. It's a bummer. Like I kind of I look at all the other you were talking about, you used a car analogy, it's like everybody else in my neighborhood has brand new cars as their quarterbacks, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm still hanging on to one. I'm like, it has good mileage, I don't want a new payment.
The bumper's hanging off and headlights out, and also I forgot to change the oil for like 3 years, but other than that, it's fine.
Just like it gets me from A to B. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I said the same thing earlier. So I did some Bengals stuff that I'll put on the front end of this podcast. Every game this year for them is going to be a tight game, like the first 2, where the first 2 were very similar games. They just happened to win one and happened to lose the other, made a play in one, didn't make it in the other. Is that what you're saying with the Steelers? You think that's going to be the same way, like 9-8's maybe the ceiling for them?
I wouldn't say that. I just think it's going to be kind of like, I mean, the last 2 years, honestly, it's been our defense playing their hearts out, and then can our offense make a couple big plays a game to squeak it out? Like I feel like our defense has been great in keeping us close.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I hate the old cliche phrase, they don't rebuild, they reload, but the Steelers find a way to do that. They get guys like freaking Melvin Ingram, who is just, not doing anything and comes in, and through 2 games, you said he looks really good.
I think he looks great. Yeah, I mean, filling in at some of the, we lost a couple of guys, with Bud Dupree on the defense, and who else got out of there? Stevie Nelson. I'm trying to think. I know we lost a couple of Tuitt's out, so I mean, he's just another guy. It's nice to have a veteran on the team. The defense just adding to, what's still a solid defense even with the losses.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier in the show, and as soon as I got off here, I found out that Roethlisberger was a little banged up, and apparently also Alex Highsmith, who looks like one of those reload guys, he also has a groin injury. And so, yeah, the Steelers are pretty banged up across the board. So Bob Pompiani tweeted #groins gone wild. Love it.
Did he really?
Yes, he did. Right after he tweeted, Alex Highsmith also has a groin injury along with TJ Watt and Joe Hayden, maybe. And of course, Big Ben with the left pec injury. I guess he's a right-handed quarterback, so maybe that won't affect him as much. But the Steelers are pretty beat up, which Bengals fans can relate to because this team's been torn apart for a while, and through 2 games, fingers crossed, so far so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna. I got a feeling this is gonna be a old-fashioned AFC North type of game, a slugfest. Probably the under's a good play, if you ask me.
Do you know what it is? I would guess like 46.5.
Got to be somewhere there.
Yeah.
I'd have to do a little digging. But
yeah, don't worry about it. We'll figure that out at a later date. Or I'll look it up real quick. The next question I'm going to ask you, I said earlier on the show that if the Bengals score 24 points on Sunday, they will win. 24 or more. Do you agree?
I hate you, man. Why would you pull me into this? Yeah, they're going to win if they score 24.
Okay. I just don't think the Bengals.
I don't have the faith in our offense right now. It sucks.
Yeah, and I mean the Bengals defenses look really good. They gave up 13 points to the Vikings. To the Bears. I know the Bears scored 20, but one of those was on a pick 6. And they just looked really good through the first 2 weeks. The over/under on Sunday 44.5.
Yes.
I think I'm with you. I think this is like a 24-20, 24-17 ball game either way. And the Bengals are plus 4.5, which I think they started at maybe 6.5. I'm not sure on that though. But that's according to FanDuel, 44.5 and -4.5. So you said it right there. Bengals score 24, they win. Thank you. I'm glad. I was expecting some pushback there.
Yeah, it's gonna. I try. Granted, I'm the guy that's been saying we and us when I talk about the Steelers, but I do try to at least be somewhat of a reasonable, realistic fan.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And which is tough as a Steeler fan because we've gotten blessed with so many championships and good teams, and hell, Tomlin hasn't had a losing season. Granted, he's only had 1 Super Bowl, but it's still like, so
only had 1 Super Bowl. Shut your mouth.
So when they're gonna have a rough season, I gotta be honest. Like it's not gonna be these aren't gonna be games where I could sit back at halftime and smoke a cigar.
Yeah, that's fair. I've never known that feeling, but whatever. It's all good. You ready to do some rapid fire? No, you have something to say?
I was gonna say you had a couple good wild card games with Andy Dalton, right?
No. I've had wild card games with Andy Dalton. I would not describe them as good.
Well, didn't they lose to the Texans like 6 years in a row in the wild card? It's
not
like they played each other every year.
No, yeah, I think they played each other 2 out of 3. I've literally blocked half those out. With Andy, they lost the first year of the Texans. Yeah, because I think that was maybe TJ Yates. They lost to the Texans. They lost to the Jets, the Texans again, and then the Colts, and then the Steelers, I think. I believe that's the order. So Thanks for bringing that up. All All right, Raymond, we're gonna do this, and then this always ends up taking more time and is more fun, but we're gonna get right into it. You ready for some rapid fire? I don't think you've done this in the past.
No,
This is a new feature.
Is this a jungle feature?
It's a jungle feature. We got a fire in the jungle. Not good. By the way, this is called rapid fire. Take your time. Do what you want. I don't care. Question 1. Who is your favorite Steeler of all time?
Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, that's stupid. You've got to pick one athlete to start dating your mom. Who is it?
Jerome Bettis.
Ugh. Best comedian people don't know of. I guess isn't a household name. Like you can't say Chappelle or Bill Burr or something.
Dan Soder.
Dan Soder. I would actually think I agree with that because when I was writing these, I totally agree with you. Dude murders. By the way, did you watch the new Shane Gillis special?
Yes, I did. I loved it.
I loved it too. When I was watching it, the lady walked in. She goes, "Is this guy friends with Ray?" I don't know why she asked that, but she did. And I was like, they probably know each other a little bit or have said what's up. But I don't know why she just saw him and assumed she was your friend. Do you have any idea why
he
that
does have a little bit of a Pennsylvania accent.
Well, he's from Pennsylvania, yeah.
Very, very funny special. I liked it. It was raw.
Yeah, dude. And it's just front to back bangers. I loved it. Favorite Bengal of all time? Really thinking on this one. I feel like you're going to say Joe Burrow.
No, maybe Adam Pac-Man Jones.
Why Pac-Man?
He's a Mountaineer.
Oh, that's fair. You could have also went with James Harrison.
Yeah, or I could have went with Chris Henry. God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. He also a Mountaineer. What about John Kitna?
I hate John Kitna.
I don't get why you hate John Kitna.
I don't know, man. He's just.
Do you know when he came back to be the backup quarterback for the Cowboys, he didn't accept any of his salary and donated it all back to the school that he was coaching high school football at?
Oh, such a publicity stunt.
Oh my God. You have a heart that is black, charred, and disgusting. If the Steelers were allowed to poach one quarterback from the AFC North to replace big old Ben Roethlisberger, who would you take?
I'd take Lamar Jackson.
Really? Oh my goodness. Is there a dog attack going on?
That's
Are there several dogs?
That's my conscience because I just said the Lamar Jackson comment. Just
okay. If who you taking second, Baker or Joe?
I gotta. Hey, we gotta cut that in post.
We'll be good.
Hey. All right. Who am I taking second?
Baker or Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow.
Okay, no doubt.
I don't even think I'd take Baker. Period.
Okay. You can morph into any celebrity for the next 24 hours. Who will you morph into? This is a tough one because you really have to think. And then like, if you screw it up, it's like, maybe it would happen in real life. And then you're stuck, being like, I
know it's just like a football podcast. So I had a real perverted answer pop in. So then I'm shutting that one out.
Oh, how perverted?
Not that perverted.
Okay. You can say it if you want. There's no rules.
Who would I morph into?
Well then,
I was gonna say like a hot celebrity like Minka Kelly, and I would just look at myself naked.
Oh, okay. I didn't think of that, you freak. Favorite breakfast meal?
Bacon.
Just bacon? I mean, I said meal. Do you want anything else?
Oh, you said meal?
Oh, yeah. Do you think I said meat?
Hash.
What is it?
I'm a big corned beef hash guy.
Ooh, that's nice. Describe the current state of New York City in less than 15 seconds. Raymond joining us from Astoria, Queens this evening.
Back to normal. People are happy to be out and about. Seems like it's thriving. And yeah, I mean, it's still smelly and dirty, but fun.
That's good. As an adult, have you ever cried over a sporting event?
What do we count as adult? I really don't consider myself an adult now, Matt.
That's fair. Would say like since you could drive, 16 plus.
Nah, I don't think I ever did.
No, even when I know when the Packers beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl, you were pretty banged up for that one. You didn't have like an emotional drunk tear in your eye?
I didn't. No. I cried when we lost the Super Bowl when I was 5, when we lost to the Cowboys because I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I had maybe shed a happy tear when we won our first Super Bowl against the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm. Thanks to the refs for that one.
What do you mean?
The refs, that was nice of them to help out with that one. You get to open you get to open for Bill Burr one night at Madison Square Garden, but you can never watch sports again. Are you doing it?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, I'm doing it.
No sports ever again. What if you bomb?
I'm not gonna bomb. You kidding me?
Yeah,
That's fish in a barrel.
Yeah, it's true. Current pet peeve.
People on social media that post real heartfelt things about somebody that they don't know that died.
You know what? I was having this conversation last week when Norm Macdonald died because I told 2 of my friends, I'm like, I'm always the guy who, when people post about celebrities dying like they were friends, I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, but then last week I was that person. Like, I didn't, I wasn't like crying or anything, but I said a few things and they weren't like, oh my God, Norm, how's the world going to go on without you? But I made a couple tributary tweets.
I think he's a little so maybe I'm not trying to defend myself for hurting your feelings about your shitty Norm Macdonald tweet, but what I am saying is that I mean it's okay like because he's somebody I loved and I was very inspired by. I don't think I did tweet or I maybe shared something, but like I think that's a little different. I'm talking about when people will say something like, "I'll never forget I met him one time," and tell this whole story, and it's really just
make it about themselves. I'm with you on that one.
I can't take that. It's and even not even just with famous people. You see people do it with just like a random friend. I'm like, I didn't think those people were that close. Like I don't know. I just think it's such a gross, weird thing that we've adopted.
So you don't like it when people grieve? That's your pet peeve?
Oh God, you're making me out to be evil. No, I love when people grieve. Just do it to yourself. Cry in a bathroom or something, weirdo. Text your friends.
Yeah, I mean that's the Jeselnik bit, right? Like, don't forget about me too. Like, hey, someone died, but what's that?
It's a brilliant joke, though.
Right, because it's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, and then finally, the last thing I am doing, starting last week, you now have to ask me one question.
One question?
Yeah, I mean, you can ask as many as you want, but you got to come up with something.
If you could fight one current NFL head coach, who would it be? And take into account how much you dislike them and your chance of actually winning the fight.
I think I would win the fight, and I'm fighting John Harbaugh. He's just such a baby. I mean, any little like tiny penalty, you can come in. Any little tiny penalty. I mean, like Lamar Jackson could get out a chainsaw and cut off a linebacker's arm, and they'd throw a flag, and he would throw his arms up in the air and flip out about it. It's like, dude, do you think your team's going to be perfect all the time? It's just a soft little. I just think he's a soft guy.
I think that might be mine. And
I'd take him, for the record.
Oh, I'd crush him.
Yeah, you definitely would.
You know who I wouldn't crush? And I saw last night was that Dan Campbell.
Yeah, no one would. He definitely took over for Mike Vrabel in like the NFL head coach Royal Rumble.
Oh, wow. Him and Vrabel would be a good brawl.
Yeah, that would be great. If those two teams were to ever have to play each other, they should just let those two wrestle instead.
What are you putting that at? Campbell minus 150 in that fight?
I don't know, man. I think I think maybe minus 115. I don't know. I don't know fighting odds.
You got a sneaky underdog in the NFL?
As far as head coaches go, I think there are probably like a lot of, let me think. There's definitely like tough guys. What's that?
The Jets coach, that Robert Saleh.
Yeah, Robert Saleh. You got to look at him as a guy. Who would be the least good at fighting? I mean, poor Andy Reid. He can't fight, right?
He could probably mash somebody around with his belly.
He's like one of those guys where like if he catches you with one punch, you're done. But he doesn't seem to have a mean bone in his body.
He doesn't seem to have a bone in his body.
Also that.
He'd kick Belichick's ass.
Yeah, I don't know. Belichick. Yeah, because Belichick's old. Same with Pete Carroll. Like Pete Carroll's old. And then another guy I just think is soft. I don't have any problems with him but Mike McCarthy. He just strikes me as someone who you kind of know those kids you went to school with who were just kind of like would get upset over the little tiny things. And like if someone got too aggressive at recess, they'd pout about it. He strikes me as one of those guys.
That's where you're wrong, brother. Mike McCarthy's from Greenfield.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I still stand by my statement, though. He softened. He left the Berg and the Berg left him.
No, we never leave.
Oh, and then Cliff Kingsbury.
Cowboys.
I'm just going through teams on my phone now. Cliff Kingsbury. I'd whip him. I mean, he's just too pretty. And I think I could take most NFL coaches, man.
I'm pounding all three of the young dudes. The Kingsbury, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan.
Now, I could see Shanahan gets a little fiery at times. And then McVay, I bet, is a scrapper a little bit. But they both kind of grew up like rich, too, so they didn't get in those recess fights. Like, their teachers actually watched them at school.
Yeah, they all got, like, perfect hair. You know? It's like you don't want a head football coach with LA looks in his hair.
No, and then, of course, Brian Flores, too, from Miami. That dude, I think he's got that. You don't want to mess with him either.
I think Tomlin's scrappy.
No.
Oh, come on.
No.
You're just hating.
No, I mean, Mike Tomlin, if you tried to fight Mike Tomlin, I'm not going to go there.
Mike Tomlin would definitely trick you into not fighting him, though.
That's true. And then as soon as you turned around, he'd punch you in the back of the head.
He'll do whatever it takes to win. Except get some offensive linemen.
Yeah, that, and maybe if you're walking away, he'll just stick his foot out as you're running back for a touchdown and your name's Jacoby Jones and try to trip you.
I thought it was a heads up play.
He is that guy. All right, Raymond, I'm gonna let you get out of here. Tell people where they can find you. Are you coming? Do you have any shows lined up in Cincinnati? Obviously, that's where most of our audience is.
Not yet, but if you wouldn't mind, tweeting them out whenever I do.
Yeah, I will do that.
Probably have you come and do them as well.
That would be nice. I would enjoy that.
Hell yeah.
So what's your Twitter, Instagram? Are you doing anything? Are you on TikTok? I keep wanting to get on TikTok, but it's like, man, it seems like a lot of work.
I am, but I'm not very good at it. I don't really get it.
Well, we're old.
I know. I'm not cute and 14 enough for TikTok.
No, you're not. Nor now that you say it like that, maybe I shouldn't be on TikTok. That sounds weird. Do you want to tell anyone anything where they can get you on Twitter, anything like that? At
Ray be killing them on all social media. Hell, I don't have anything planned for October for Ohio until January. So
okay.
I'll be in Youngstown January 4th.
January 4th, we'll be there. And then if they're coming to New York, is your show at the Stand still going?
Yes, it is. We got a show once a month at the Stand. So follow at Most Wanted Comedy on Instagram, as well as at Ray be killing them. That's me. And that's it.
Why are all your handles like criminal related? Like you're killing and then Most Wanted?
Because I'm a killer, dog.
All right. Ray Zawodni, my friend, thank you for joining us. If you like the show, be sure to give us a rating, subscribe, do all that stuff. I'm Matt Edwards. I'm at Matt Edwards on Twitter. Thank you for joining us on In the Jungle. Bengals score 24 or more, and they will win on Sunday. You heard it here first. Raymond, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Love you, buddy.
Love you more.